DJ'd for Mos Def, and we went over to London for some shows, and Destiny's Child was performing there. And I don't know if you know this, and don't tell anybody if you don't, but Mos Def kind of used to mess with Beyonce.
And Mos Def, also known as Yeseni Bey, was Beyoncé's former lover. Apparently, this is another person Jay-Z had to cut ties with because, as we've heard, he was having an affair with Beyoncé once before they formally began dating when she was older, so it's actually quite possible that most were caught in the middle and had to leave. However, if rumors are to be believed, now that it appears that Jay-Z may be headed for a big fall, many people are willing to talk about what they went through at his hand, including allegedly Mos Def. So what kind of tea are we talking about? Honey, I hope you're seated because it's juicy. In 2000, Beyoncé was still with Destiny's Child, but she was also plotting world dominance. Before she was Sasha Fierce, before Dangerously in Love, before Formation, Bey was out here making her acting debut in Carmen, a Hopper opera. And guess who was right there sharing the screen? Carmen Hopper Opera wasn't just a movie. It was a snapshot of that era when hip-hop was taking over Hollywood and artists were proving they could do it all. Beyoncé and Mos Def were right at the center of it. The film was essentially a hip-hop twist on the classic opera Carmen, but it was set in gritty urban streets, and it was full of themes from the original, with lots of drama and betrayal. Bey played Carmen, and Mos Def had his own role that put him right up in her mix. So yeah, they had scenes together, and I'm talking very spicy scenes. Carmen was her first experience performing and rapping outside of Destiny's Child's safety net. This was her showcasing that she wasn't just here to be another girl group member. And after working on that project with Mos Def, rumors began to circulate that they might have taken their relationship off screen and had a thing. Although Beyoncé and Mos Def have never publicly acknowledged a romantic relationship, and their documented collaborations and public interactions are primarily within the purview of their professional work, there were rumors back in the past that suggested a romantic relationship. In fact, Cypounds even described a weekend spent with Destiny's Child early in Beyoncé's career, before she had reached her current level of fame. Cypher Sounds first acknowledged that he wasn't all that pleased with Beyoncé, whom he thought was a pop artist, but in the end, he thought she was really great. However, as he was narrating that moment, he especially mentioned that he remembered that Bey and Mo were undoubtedly playing around.
For Mos Def, and we went over to London for some shows, and Destiny's Child was performing there. And I don't know if you know this, and don't tell anybody if you don't, but Mos Def kind of used to mess with Beyonce.
By the way, he didn't just spilf it. Additionally, Cypher Sounds claimed that he later started working for Pharrell and that Beyoncé and Pharrell kind of played around together. Though he clarified that they didn't go all the way, he did mention that Pharrell allegedly touched Beyoncé's extremely soft posterior before discussing how awkward it was when Jay-Z was introducing Beyoncé as his girl.
He's about to introduce me to her. We're at the 4040 nightclub, and he's about to introduce me to her, and he's like kind of awkward. He's like, yo, this is my girl, you know, Beyonce. And she gave me the look, like, which if you don't know how to read, Jamaican girl, what does that look?
Now it's said that even when Beyoncé was dating Jay-Z, the majority of developers still wanted her. If there's one thing we've learned over the years, it's that Jay-Z doesn't like it when people want Beyoncé. Apparently he found out, and things became complicated. But could this supposed entanglement have been one of the hidden tensions that fueled Mos Def's frustration? And so-called disappearance was stepping away Mos Def's way of keeping the peace, or was he expelled from certain circles for knowing too much? The majority of deaf people didn't just decide to leave the music industry one day. Rather, he became disillusioned and declared that he was done with Hollywood and the music recording industry as it currently exists. However, some have speculated that Jay-Z may have been involved in his disappearance because, even after learning that Beyoncé and Jay-Z were dating, most people were still pursuing her. And Jay-Z had to act because he allegedly saw that they had good chemistry. It wouldn't be shocking if Jay-Z pushed Mo out due to whatever was going on between him and Beyonce, as we've had other artists who experienced similar things, such as Sean Paul.
Mixed up in terms of on the video shoot. When I got there the night before the video shoot, I was told I'm not in any scene with her, which to me at the time, the way I was thinking about the video was totally different. I thought we were gonna kind of act something out. So I guess with the rest of my team and everybody in Jamaica wanted to see me paired up with a star that she'd become huge. We're kind of disappointed. So people kind of got like that vibe, like, oh man, what's happening? And then rumors started to happen, and you know, we did several performances together. But
you see, when Sean Paul was asked once about his Baby Boy collaboration with Beyonce, he replied that they didn't really hang out, but that he always appreciated her music and beauty. In other words, he was like, hell yeah, when he heard that. Beyonce was going solo and wanted him to do a single. Despite the song's enormous success, Sean Paul pointed out that he only got to perform it 3 times, which actually bothered him. He said that he thought it would be R&B, but it turned out to be dancehall, so that made him go off and even call the song a banging track. He said that this was all because of rumors that something was going on between him and Beyonce. In fact, when discussing the dynamics, he was like, I had some people who were working with me for years, and they were like, boss, I'm now a fan of yours. I thought, now we just had 3 performances, and one was at Reggae Sunfest at the time. We were both on the Rock the Mic tour. This was 2003. She wasn't on it every day, but she would come on certain dates and do the song Crazy in Love with Jay. Then Sean said that the second time they were scheduled to perform together, things were just weird, and there was evidence. Sabotage going on. What happened was that Sean was in LA doing his show, and then Bey was performing, and they told him to stick around because they would do Baby Boy together. So he runs out there, and the crowd goes wild, but after a while it seems like he lost their energy, and to him it was weird, because he was going wild out there. When the song finished, he went backstage and his own band was all pissed off, like, man, that's effed up. You heard yourself, we couldn't hear you in the crowd. Your mic was off, basically somebody sabotaged Sean's performance by switching off his mic at the time. Sean didn't think much of it because he thought it may have been a glitch. But when it happened again, he knew for a fact that someone was out to sabotage him. They had another performance with Beyonce in Scotland, and it was an MTV event, and they ended up doing the rehearsal. And everything was good, and the performance was going to be where Sean would go up from under the stage. And then they both walked to a big center thing in the middle of the stadium, which was surrounded by fire. That all happened as planned. But when the song reached his part, and he was supposed to go, yo, top girl, the song continued, baby boy, you stay. What's going on here? He said, simply repeating. After this performance, Beyonce reportedly confronted Sean about the dating rumors, saying that they were hurting her career. Sean responded, hey, I met Jay before you, and we are friends, so he and I should talk. If he feels that way about that, then we should talk, because it's not coming from me. But get this straight. BA's team made it clear that they would not be working with Sean. They had one more performance scheduled for the VMAs, and Beyonce informed him that they would have a rehearsal. However, the day before the VMAs, there was a press day, and during that time, Sean claimed to have overheard someone practicing Baby Boy. He then went to the label and they said, yo, they're not going to do the song with you. Rumor now circulated that Beyonce claimed behind closed doors that Sean threatened Jay-Z. Paul's popularity and charisma. Allegedly, she said that Jay-Z did not want her to share the stage with another man, especially one who was already triggering rumors of an affair. Apparently, Jay-Z even accused her of having an affair with Sean Paul and demanded that she cut off all contact with him. Beyonce also allegedly said that she tried to reassure Jay-Z that there was nothing going on between her and Sean, Paul, but he did not believe her. He became very controlling and possessive, and even hired private investigators to follow her and Sean Paul around. And all this was happening around the time Mos Def allegedly still wanted Beyonce. By the way, this is not something that happened with just Sean Paul, or most. There have been other allegations here and there about men being pushed out of the industry after getting too close to Beyonce. So to a lot of people, it wouldn't be surprising that the same thing was done to Mos Def. Well, if word on the street is anything to go by, the days of being scared of Hova are over, and people like Most are now allegedly willing to spill the real tea about what happened now that Jay-Z's not sitting as untouchable as he once was, with crack starting to show in that so-called throne. Baby Mos Def could be gearing up to let it all out. I mean, Jay Shine isn't what it used to be after all the public scandals. Most people may feel that the time has now come for him to tell his truth because of the adultery suspicions, the flaws in his flawless persona, and simply thinking of the shocking revelations that most people would make. I'm here for the whole thing, but please share your thoughts in the comment section below. The power struggles, the true reason he withdrew himself, and possibly even how Jay-Z attempted to silence him if he spoke could be dynamite.